Liliana. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Connie. How are you?
Hey, Grandpa. Good.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy
Yeah,
Valentine's
hi, Dad.
Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, Dad.
Okay, we finally got in.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know why that link was wrong, but
Well,
we're
we're
here.
here.
Great. Yeah, exactly. So we're driving down to Asilomar, so we might meet you at some point.
Kim, you guys
Oh,
are
there-
muted still.
Oh, you're in the car. Wow. Where are you
What's that?
going?
We're going to Asilomar, so we're going
Where
down
are you
Highway
going?
1. Asilomar, where we went,
Okay.
where we
There
had
you
the
go.
family reunion.
Oh,
Monterey.
okay.
Yeah, just for a few days.
Lucky you.
Yeah. But
Are you staying in one of the cabins?
no, we're just staying in a room. We just went the cheapest option. We're gonna just get back on Tuesday. So
Okay.
just a quick trip.
Hiking? Hanging?
Yeah, hiking, biking, and whatever else we do there.
Game?
But no boat trips, Javier said. No boat trips. I'm sure you'd be happy to hear that, Carly.
No boat trips. Please, no.
Oh, Barcaspaloozas.
Oh, no boat
Yeah.
trips.
We might do the disco golf we did that.
Yeah, the one where Bill cheated.
I didn't cheat.
You would never cheat.
No, never. I just win.
At all costs.
That's how he wins. He cheats.
Yep.
It's called winning.
And if other people win, it's because they cheated.
Cheat, right.
Right. Exactly, Patty.
Exactly. I got it down.
Yeah, you do.
I understand how this works now. I'm finally glad. Well, we put the Zoom together because Bill and Laura and I were talking, and there were some stories that we just were not aware of that Dad has, and we thought, oh, let's find out what stories Dad has about things. Like one day you were telling me that this was your second pandemic, Dad.
This is my second pandemic.
You said when you were little, you had to go with
He doesn't remember.
that someone had scarlet fever, was it?
Oh, yeah, but that wasn't a pandemic. Scarlet fever was just around for years until they got a vaccine. So it wasn't, but when you got it then, you had to quarantine and couldn't leave the house. So we lived in the back of the in the tavern in the boarding house. So we had to be isolated. So my mother and our family had to move out into another house 3 blocks away that my dad rented so that we could go in there, because I think it was Jack that has scarlet fever.
And then
But that didn't hit everybody like it's doing. It was like the flu as we know it. So,
What about polio?
But of course, there were other ones, the polio one every summer. Everybody had to be especially careful until they got a vaccine for that too.
Did Jack
And-
have polio?
No, he didn't have polio. I don't know how he got his. He had an infection in his hip, and I forgot what it was called. And they had to take one of the bones out of his hip and replace it with a cow bone.
Oh,
And he was in the Marquette, Michigan a special hospital for about 3 months while that went on. So we had to go up there and visit him. He was about 5 4 or 5 years old when that happened. So it was it must have been in about 1940 or 41.
Mhm.
And of course, my mother died of tuberculosis, which is another thing that they had sanatoriums in every county that people, if they got tuberculosis, were removed to and had to stay in there. And then again, they came up with shots for that too eventually, but people who had
Always looking at us. Hi,
polio
Carly.
had to stay in
Hi,
the
Jim. Hi, Christy. They can
sanatorium
hear us. I don't think they can hear.
until they got better,
Is that
which
Alice?
not a whole lot of them did or died. And then the rest of the
Oh,
people had to do.
We can't hear anybody.
Hey,
There's Bill. You just talked to Bill last
Tom
night.
and
Bill
Fran.
and Laura.
So
Addie's up in the corner. There's
so
Dad.
the rest of the people had to be checked every
the matter?
year.
Well, why can't we hear
for,
anyone?
I
polio.
don't know.
You can't hear us? Tom and
Can
Frank
hear
can't-
They
Turn
can't
up
hear.
your
I just
volume.
muted them because we could hear them.
We can hear you.
Turn
Can't you
up
hear
your
us?
volume.
Your dad's telling us a story.
See,
A
You're
sad
muted,
story.
Fran. You're muted. So you're muted.
Now they are. They're there.
Okay, there you go.
You can't hear anything though.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear
I
us?
was telling
Dad is
about
frozen.
my birth experience with Tom and Frank. Can you hear me? Apparently
No.
not.
Doesn't look like it.
No, they're looking at the screen.
Know what happened?
Tom.
You're so mean, Bill.
Look at how.
Well,
look
I
at
can
the
hear
screen.
Fran.
Trying to figure it out.
I think you just got
Yeah,
that.
Tom, can you hear me?
Can you
We're
hear us?
leaving?
I don't think you can.
Don't leave in a huff. He's going out and maybe coming back in.
Oh, that was.
That's better.
I know.
I was wondering why she was talking. Like, why are you talking? But she didn't realize we could hear her.
Right.
And they couldn't
Oh
hear us.
my.
Oh my goodness. And then I was gonna go in and mute them. I was like, what do we do next?
Right.
Oops, there's Eric and Alice left.
Oh, she said that they might get lost,
Okay, drop.
Yeah.
drop because they're traveling.
Yeah.
So you,
So-
Dad, you were saying about the tuberculosis and I couldn't really hear you because we kept getting interrupted. What?
Because Fran kept yakking over you.
In in tuberculosis, once you were exposed to somebody with tuberculosis, you had to be checked annually. Well, they checked everybody. They give everybody skin tests for a number of years. And I always checked positive because I had been exposed. But then they eventually came out with x-rays to check, and that was more definitive. But nobody else in the family ever got tuberculosis.
So when you were a kid,
Except
were you,
I had a cousin who in 1946, when I was my first year of college, her name was Mary Albers, and she was in her third year of college at Marquette, and she got tuberculosis, and she died from it.
Really?
At 1946. So.
was it common that people got over it as well as died of it?
I guess about in the beginning, not so much, but eventually, my cousin who got it was unusual. I mean, it wasn't widespread anymore, but What is that?
What is
Huh?
Tom's?
I needed to let him in,
Oh.
only if they promise to be quiet.
Hello.
Can you
No,
hear us?
Yeah, Tom and Fran, can you hear?
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
Hey,
So
Okay,
did-
good.
Oh,
That's-
there they are.
There's Nancy. Hi, Nancy.
Now we got
Hello.
Nancy.
Hey, Nancy.
Nancy,
Oh, hello,
you
everyone.
falling
Hey,
over?
Noah. You didn't see Noah come in there.
we can't see Noah. There's too much facial
How you
hair.
guys doing?
We're doing good.
How you guys doing in cross country skiing?
Everything keeps getting postponed because it's so cold.
Okay. Okay, now do we have everybody in? Tom, friend, can you hear us?
Yep.
So Dad,
You can hear
how
us?
old were you when your mom died? You were 12?
Yeah, I was, she died in 1937. So I was 9 years old.
9. And she died of
when
tuberculosis
she
then.
died.
Is that what?
Do you remember as a 9-year-old thinking there was something
Yes.
called tuberculosis that was coming? Do you remember being like afraid of it before your mom got it?
No, I think I was aware that there was in those days, people got cancer and other stuff. And the people died a lot more often of those types of things than they do now. So pneumonia people would die from, so all those types of illnesses and diseases were more fatal than they are nowadays.
Yeah.
So it was just another thing that was around. But it was one that had to be, people had to be isolated
Paul.
so it didn't spread.
How long was she isolated,
Yeah.
Dad? Before she died?
So that's how that was how it was in those days.
Why is
In
it
those
frozen?
days, people didn't
Internet sucks.
weren't taken care of in funeral homes. Hardly ever. They were always taken and brought to their homes, and the visitation and everything would take place at the home in what they call the parlor, which was the living room, and they would be laid out there in a visitation, and as a result, when that front door, so it was not unusual to walk rounders on the front door. Yep, we're
What's happening to everybody?
We turned off our video because you were really slow, Dad. Your internet was going really slow and it was hard to hear you.
Oh,
So we turned off our videos so it speeds up your internet.
We're still here though.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all of our videos were slowing down your internet and you sounded like you were talking on super slow motion.
And it
Yeah.
worked,
Okay.
Patty.
Yeah, it worked. So yeah, you guys should stay on so we can see somebody. But with all of our videos, it just slowed your computer down too much.
It shouldn't
Okay.
work that way.
That's pretty much for the diseases of my childhood. Yeah, how they were handled.
How long was your mom isolated before she died?
I would say about 6 months.
Oh, that's a long time.
So you weren't able to see her at all, except for the one time that they snuck you
Yeah,
up, huh?
She died in December, and at the end of November, they took me up there with several other people. Children weren't supposed to visit at all. So they took me up. I can remember we had friends who owned a meat market, and they had a van type of vehicle riding up to Powers, Michigan, which was at the northern end of Menominee County, to the sanatorium. And after we got there, they snuck me into to a room, and I stayed for about 5 minutes, and that was it.
I just can't believe someone had the guts to do that. That someone, like had the smarts and the guts to do that. That was so cool.
Yeah. Well, I presume it was probably done more often than not, because certainly they could have, I'm sure the staff probably looked the other way a little bit too, so.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
sure it's super sad to be isolated like that. And in those days, they didn't have the cell phone.
Well, they didn't have, no, they didn't have any phones.
You were able to talk to her by phone.
In the phones were in the county in those days where my uncles lived, they had party lines.
Oh, I remember.
Oh,
And you'd ring, your number was 3 longs and 1 short. So if you wanted to call back and forth to the neighbor, you'd ring, crank the thing, and it would 3 longs and 1 short.
Oh, geez. Did they ask for Fred?
So how did that work? When you wanted to call a friend, you would tell the operator, and the operator would make it ring the right way. You didn't have to know the way your friend.
Yeah, the operator would, yeah.
And how many people were on one line? Like, it must have been ringing constantly, and you just have to ignore it.
Yeah, you would have to listen to the rings to know if it was for you or not.
Wow.
what a pain in the butt.
And people would listen in on the party line.
Right. You lose your
Well, it's
privacy.
not any different than
My
your cell
Aunt
phone.
Teresa would always get on and
That's not my
she
cell
would
phone, that's
say,
Nancy's.
Emily, get off. I'm on now,
It
it's
goes up
mine.
again.
Is it always the same people that were trying to listen?
Usually it was 1 or 2 women who would come in and act like they were going to make a call, but not make the call, and then they would know they were on and tell them. So there was really no privacy on a telephone line.
Yeah,
Gossip train.
Laura.
I remember my neighbors had a party line in California.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Must have been the discount package. I
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
must have been cheap.
Did you have to crawl up a telephone pole?
no, but the we townies, as they call us, we didn't have that kind. We had
Nice.
phones, but they out there, my uncle on the farm got a refrigerator before we did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we still had a nice box. He got his refrigerator, so they beat us to that.
So what were they called? You were called townies, and what were they called?
Farmers.
Farmers? Okay. Country bumpkins? No, farmers. Okay. The farmers and the townies. Got it.
And then how often would you go and visit your cousins that live nearby on Linsmeyer Road? Was that something that would only happen in the summer, or was that something that you did regularly?
Oh, we would go up there at least when I was younger. We would go up there at least once a month or once every 2 weeks. But in the winter time, my dad had a Model T Ford, and the alcohol you put in the radiator would boil out. So about 3/4 of the way there, we'd have to the radiator would boil over, and we'd have to stop and put snow in the radiator until we got to the farm and could put some more alcohol in so it wouldn't freeze.
Wow, that's crazy.
Was
That
that
is
just,
crazy.
or was it old?
Pardon?
Was the car old or is that just how they work?
No, the car wasn't old. That was just the way you had to do it because they didn't have enough sophisticated enough cooling systems in
Wow.
the heating system. My first car, which was a 31 Chevrolet, the heater in there came off the manifold on the floor. And then I had a fan on a steering column that would take the heat that was coming up and blow it on the windshield. And that was the defroster. To say
Oh,
the least.
Oh,
a
The
long
man-
way.
the shirt sleeve.
It didn't work very well, did it?
Well, no, but it worked. That was the main thing.
Yeah.
That was, but you know, it was what it was, and that's how
Right.
you did it.
That's
When
all
you
you
look back-
get.
When you look back at all the inventions, Dad,
Oh, I
which one do
can't-
you think was the most significant? Which invention or which progress seems like the most significant?
Oh, geez.
No.
I'm trying to think. The car
Remote
was,
start.
the telephone was already.
Remote start.
TV,
Huh?
TV. Set up
Yeah,
radio?
probably TV in the entertainment area, definitely. Certainly the refrigerator was a big one.
Oh, I
Oh,
bet.
yeah. What about air conditioning?
Air conditioning, we never had air conditioning. I don't think we had air conditioning ever while I was living up in Menominee.
Well, this part of the country, air conditioning is not as important as
Heat. You need heat.
Right.
And of
Air
course, we were,
conditioning for,
What about the
Arizona,
Sears catalog?
Nevada,
the what?
Florida. That's
The
huge.
Sears catalog.
Sears catalog? That was a very important thing because that's how most people, especially those who lived out in the country, bought their clothes and everything else. They sold everything in Sears catalog. And of course, in the country, it was very important in the outhouse too.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
Because there was no
Now
toilet.
it's Amazon. It's the new Sears.
It sounds like Amazon.
but you
know,
can't
look
wipe
for
your ass
something
with
and you buy
Amazon.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting, Bill. I thought that
It
too.
definitely was.
Except
You
for you
could-
can't wipe your butt with the Amazon, can you?
You can,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but we don't want to talk about that.
That's why I was shocked, really, that when Amazon got going, that Sears didn't jump back into that business, but they never did.
Yeah, the Sears catalog was the first time you were like, I can buy all these things. You could buy things you didn't even know existed.
Yeah. And then, of course, there was also Montgomery Ward at that time,
Oh, yeah.
and they had a catalog too.
How
Right.
long was the delivery time?
How
How
long?
was the delivery for Sears?
A couple, 3 weeks at least. Yeah.
Unless you had Sears Prime.
But we had a Montgomery
Right.
Ward store in Menominee.
Oh,
A reward store.
Yeah, a department store. That was a big thing. Everybody would come to Menominee to go to Monkey Ward's.
Oh,
yeah, Monkey Wards. I remember that.
how about Gimbel's Shoe Stores?
Montgomery Wards.
Gimbel's Shoe Stores,
Well, Gimbel's was in Milwaukee. And,
right?
yeah, and with Gimbel's was a big thing in Milwaukee. And I used to listen to, at Christmas time, to Billy the Brownie on the radio that was put on by Gimbel's in Milwaukee.
There you go.
Billy the Brownie.
Billy the Brownie. And he would read letters from all the kids.
Oh, okay.
Radio was a big thing. I mean, you had Fibber McGee and Molly and Jack Benny and all kinds of shows. The Lone Ranger, everything. You sit at night and listen to
Lawn Ranger was on radio?
Pardon?
Lawn Ranger was on radio?
Oh, yeah, yeah, long before anything else.
Io Silver? Oh,
Yeah, and Tonto.
Tonto.
Patty, you turned into your daughter and her husband.
I'm back. I think that the internet seems to be working well. Alice is trying to get on because she has a question she wants to ask, but I'm trying to see if she'll get in here.
Okay.
This
You
is
know,
like
you
the
switch
impeachment.
spots with Carly and Noah on Hollywood Squares here.
Did you know that
Yeah.
you can actually move squares around now? I can I can
Okay.
take one square and move it to a different part of the computer if I want.
Oh, you can?
And you can also do it so that you don't have to see your own square. You can take your camera off and everyone else will see you, but you won't see yourself.
It
I
says you
see.
can't do it when some video participants are hidden. You can't switch people around.
Oh, okay. Here comes Alice.
But that's good to know. Because we could set up like the Brady Bunch.
Oh, I'm moving you around right now.
Well, I think everyone's on again though, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Jim and Christy are hiding still.
Jim and Christy.
Oh, okay. Hi,
Nice
Alice.
haircut.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hi,
nice
Javi.
haircut, Paul.
Hello.
Hey, nice haircut, Paul.
It's falling out. It's not a haircut.
Who needs to get a cut, right?
No, I haven't.
It'll just eventually all fall out again.
I get 2 more weeks and it'll be a year.
Is your
Wow.
hair's long? It's getting long, Patty. It's been a year.
Crazy. Yeah. Alice, you have a question. We're waiting on the drum rolls on that. Uh-oh, she's frozen.
Yeah, she's frozen.
She's smiling anyway.
Yeah.
Yep,
Right when she was gonna give her question, she froze.
I know. And Javier
So
looks
I-
like he's about to talk.
So, Fran, I want to see your puppy.
You
Yeah.
guys got a dog. Yay.
Yay!
Let's see the doggy.
Doggy in the window.
Oh,
Aw.
Oh, there's a new dog. Wow.
The dog.
Die
It's like,
guy.
why are you putting this thing in my face?
Tom's smiling about the dog. That's
Tom said he's gonna make an effort to love the dog. We spoke to him last night.
He's gonna act like a human being.
you're
We can't
muted.
hear you, Fran.
Name.
There. What's the dog's name?
Troy.
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 Like
Troy?
Troy.
Troy T.
He's a good boy, Troy. He's a good boy.
Is this
boy,
your
Troy.
first boy dog? No, Zip was a
Boy
boy.
dog.
Was Zip a boy?
No.
He's gonna look like this.
Is he lab?
Yellow mixed lab.
Looks like a little
Well,
bit of
lab
French
mix.
Poodle, maybe.
I guess he'd have to
It'll
be.
be a lot bigger than her.
He likes Tom a lot. He follows
Okay.
Tom around. It's really cute
Oh.
because Tom hates dogs. It's really cute.
He
He's a
said
dumb
he was
dog.
gonna make an effort, Fran.
I gave the dog to Fran for her birthday present and told her the present was, I won't hate your dog.
That's a gift of love, Tom. It's a good gift of
Dad.
love.
Dad, you never liked dogs. How did you end up with Fred and Ebony? How did that happen?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
You're the only dad I got.
Okay. Well, I didn't hear the question.
Oh, how did you get a dog at your house? How did you get Fred and Ebony? Because you don't like dogs, do you?
Well, I was inundated with requests, and finally I gave in, and we got Fred as the first dog. And when Fred bombed out, I said, "Good, now we won't have a dog." But I was again inundated with crying requests, and we need to have a dog, and so we went.
Why is
Yeah,
Patty
so-
smiling?
But this time it has to be a dog for kids that's kid friendly and everything else. And I was told on a stack of 16 Bibles, and if I got another dog, that dog would be taken care of, and I would never have to do anything for the dog. You
And
can
so how did it turn
imagine
out?
after 6 months, who was getting up at midnight and letting the dog out? Me.
Yeah, I know how
And
it
the
turned out.
dog would, Ebony would not know enough not to bark, so I was getting calls from the neighbor because the dog was barking out and waking me up.
And stealing the
But we
milk.
lived through it. What?
And stealing the milk. And stealing the milk container.
Oh yeah, well, Ebony was a character all of her own. She not only she would go out in the morning and she would come back to the side door, and I could go out and there was a bottle of milk or a carton of milk, and I would say, "How did we get a carton of milk?" And she had gone and stolen it from somebody. And of course, you can't take it back because you didn't know where it came from. And then even to this day, Marge Horn tells me how Ebony would go over to their house and jump in bed with her kids in the morning.
What a sly dog.
Dad, this is our fourth dog, and the promise every time was that the owner would be trained. This owner is not trainable, but this dog was already trained by someone else very well before coming to our house.
Thank God.
Nice.
Good ways to solve it. Yeah. After your experience with dogs, Dad, when we got Tara, I said, this will be my dog and I will be the one responsible for it because I just didn't want to be in a fight. I knew it wasn't going to work.
Of course, there was Ebony in a great spaghetti escapade too. She went, the neighbor for some reason or another made spaghetti and put it out on the windowsill, low windowsill to cool. And Ebony went and got the pan and brought it home to us. And needless to say, she got on the telephone to us and in no uncertain words, let us know what you thought of that. So we had to make spaghetti for the neighbors.
That was the Colemans, right?
Yeah. That's
So, and of course, every fall became an annual event that she would be out and invariably decide that she was going to chase a skunk and got thoroughly sprayed.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'd have to run to Kohl's and get a gallon of tomato juice and pour it on her and take the hose and scrub it off. And then we wouldn't let her in. And so she was crying and barking all night. Well, you kids remember those things.
Yeah.
Some of you.
I don't think the tomato juice really touched it at all either.
Well, it
I don't think
cut
it helped.
some. You're right. There was a residue.
Well,
Yeah.
Ebony gave me fleas
Yeah,
after she died.
Oh, that's right.
Bill had fleas. Bill, you had fleas.
Yeah.
Hi, Alice.
Alice is back.
She's back.
Bill, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
we stayed there.
Mom and Dad decided to go to Germany and ask Laura and I to stay at their house because to try to control Jim and Mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of luck.
Yeah,
I
it
know.
didn't work so well.
No, it
I
was
had that
a
job a few
disaster.
times too.
And so they put down Ebony that Friday before they left. We went there, stayed in their room, and where Ebony stayed. But since Ebony wasn't there, her residual fleas found me and decided to live on me.
Oh, no.
It's because you look like a dog.
I know. Wake up with like flea bites going up my leg, and
So what happened with Jim and Mark?
They partied every night. Oh, Jim smashed up the car.
Jim took Dad's car and smashed it into Mom's car and lied
We did.
about it. And
We did,
had a party. huge party.
And
Bill,
Bill and I were like,
Bill,
"Oh
that
my God,
wasn't
we're not equipped
that
to do
wasn't
this."
I'm like,
Please.
one day we're gonna have our own kids. I'm not doing this.
Hey, Bill, that wasn't fleas. That was bed bugs in mom and dad's bed.
Well,
Whatever.
they're about
That's
to
why they
say,
say
aren't
don't let the bed bugs bite.
When I went home, I had to drop my clothes in the hallway and
they didn't touch me, whatever it was, which was good. But
No, and Carly, when are you gonna get a dog?
We have a whole theory that we think we'll have a dog someday, but I think we'll have a dog after we have a little bit older of kids someday.
When you have some kids to take care of it, right?
oh yeah, because they
Well, the theory,
Alice, we've been waiting for your question.
Okay, so my question is, when did Grandpa Linsmeyer meet Grandma Linsmeyer? Was it at the Aberdeen, or how did they meet?
Well, he was, that was after my birth mother had died.
Right.
And then he met her through some friends. She was living in Marinette and working at M&M General Hospital as a bookkeeper. And I don't know, through friends, maybe even one of her sisters, they met because her sister Grace, who married a man by the name of John Durkis, who lived 2 blocks away from us. Maybe, and he was a friend of my dad, so maybe they met that way. I don't know, but
Something through there, huh? How many years was he single before he married Grandma?
well, my mother died in 1937, and I think he married Mom Lil in 1940.
And do you remember liking her or not liking her when you first met her?
Oh, we liked her a lot. She used to come over during a noon hour and take us for rides to Hennis Park.
Oh,
And,
In
that's
the-
really nice.
In the
did they have
Studebaker?
buffalo?
Pardon?
In the Studebaker?
Oh, no. She had a 37 Ford, 37 or 39 Ford. First Ford that had the headlights built into the fenders. Whichever
Whoa.
one. You guys should be able to tell me that.
I was about to say that.
So where did they get married? How did that go? Was it like a small wedding or what?
They got married at the Epiphany Church, but it was a small wedding, just themselves and their attendants. And then they got on. They went to Green Bay on a
They went where?
Green Bay.
Oh, they went to the big city, huh?
Big honeymoon.
They got on the 400 and went to Green Bay. The 400 was the first streamlined diesel pulled train that came through Menominee. It was known as the Peninsula 400. Really nice train. Went from Milwaukee, from Chicago to Ispavan.
Nice.
Wow.
That's really
When did
cool.
that end? When did they stop that?
Pardon?
When did they stop the train doing that?
Well, they stopped the trains after I had left Menominee. They must have stopped the trains in probably the 70s, something like that, 60s or 70s.
I took that train in my mind. I took that same train from Milwaukee up to, I think, Marinette, because my Aunt Betty Bond, she used to had relatives up there, so we'd all go on the train.
Yeah.
Then it disappeared. You're right. The train just stopped. So.
Yeah, well,
Grandma
you know,
Newberry come down on
the
the train one time?
Northwestern. I'm sorry.
Didn't Grandma Newberry come down on the train one
I
time?
used to bus. Did she ever come on the train? I
Oh,
thought
the
she came on the
bus.
bus.
Okay. Okay.
Greyhound
I don't,
train.
I don't
Yeah.
remember, you remember the Northwestern depot down at the lakefront? Any of you? Nobody remembers the North. You must have got on a train there when you went to Marinette, Fran.
I know, but I was young and now I'm old.
That's where we got on the train to go to Albuquerque.
Where
Yeah.
O'Donnell
Back
Park, where O'Donnell Park is on top of the parking structure across from the Art Museum. That's where the Northwestern Station used to be. And that walking path that we took going to Kyle's last summer, was it?
Yeah.
That
That's
was
the train
the
line.
railroad track,
Yeah.
railroad bed for the Northwestern, Chicago
Oh.
Northwestern Railway. And then they also had the Milwaukee Road station, which was over off of Michigan Street, where the electric company is in that area, but between 3rd and 4th on Michigan, there's a
Yeah,
small
there's a
park
train
in front of
station
it.
still there, right?
Do you remember there used to be the electric trolleys in
Really?
Milwaukee?
Pardon?
I
Do you remember the electric trolleys that used to be in Milwaukee?
Yeah, there used to be, I used to take it to work all the time when I first got married and I lived in Bayview. Used to take the streetcar,
Yeah.
and then they also had trolley buses.
I remember those as a kid being downtown with you and watching those things go by and seeing the sparks on the wires and, they go, as they go around.
Well, they
Yeah.
brought back it, as tourism, one trolley that takes you around downtown right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
the
it's-
hop, yeah.
But it's
The hop, yeah, that's what
Is that the
Yeah.
thing that's got electric, that's got the little wire at the top?
Yeah, the trolley buses had wires up on top. They had two connected to two wires on top, and trolley buses are really neat. I really liked those. But people complained that they did too much of the road, and then the trolleys would come off once in a while and it'd have to stop and interfere with traffic. But they talk about the environment. Those things were the best green vehicle you ever could get.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Really,
all
and they
electric. Now we're going all back to electric,
Yeah. But they're going back to mostly, well, I guess some places have electric buses on wheels in some places, I guess.
So Dad, the story goes that you and Mom met in the car going from Marquette up to Peshtigo and Menominee. Is that right?
No.
Your mother and I did what?
How did you and Mom meet?
I was out of the Air Force and I was here going to Marquette Grad School and also working. And then she was teaching at Campbellsport and came to Milwaukee to Marquette for summer school.
So you met in school.
And friends, a friend by the name of Jack Gosling, who was a chemistry teacher at that time. He was from Menominee and graduated from St. Norbert with me. Somehow knew her, and he introduced me to her.
Okay. And then when you got married, you moved to Bayview, and then after that, where did you go?
We went lived in 33rd in Michigan, right behind Marquette University High School.
Oh.
In a 3-bedroom flat. Flat.
And that's where Tom and Dave came into the family, right?
Right.
That's where my parents lived when I was born too, right in that same neighborhood.
Is that right?
Wow.
Yeah,
Honestly, that's wild.
I knew Tom way back when.
Yes. It was meant to be way back when.
Yeah, that's because you could hear him in your house from our house.
It was a familiar sound.
Well,
How long-
the neighborhood was aghast because Fran was running around nude.
I was a baby.
Is that why Dave always climbed out of bed when he was 10 months old?
How long did you know
Dave
Mom
climbed
before
out
you
of
got
bed because he
married?
had to wet himself.
He's not here to defend himself.
And then from that apartment, is that when you moved to the Roar House?
Or
10426.
we moved to 10426 West Roar
Okay.
And that
on the
was
west side
actually
of Timberman
Milwaukee.
Field,
Oh, that's
which
where
is
Milwaukee was.
Roar is 2 blocks north of Hampton.
Dad's got a great story.
Hopkins 45647.
Pardon?
Hopkins 45647.
The telephone number.
Mhm.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well, and didn't you say that it really wasn't Butler? It was like Wauwatosa or Milwaukee?
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
It was the city of Milwaukee.
It
Yeah,
was
west side.
10426 was Milwaukee.
Yeah, 104, 124th Street. Yeah, if you went down Hampton, you ran into Butler at 124th Street. Patty should know that.
How big
We
was
did-
that house? Did you just have 2 or 3 bedrooms in that house with the 6 kids
There were 3 bedrooms and 1 bath.
Yeah.
and baths
Like
and
that.
6 kids, right?
1,100 square feet. About
We
900.
moved out of it when it was 1,100 square feet, and we moved out of it right after Patty was born in 1965.
Crazy.
It was tight. 8 people and 1,100 square feet. I mean,
Yeah, wow.
Yikes.
But we had a small rec room in the basement that Eddie Dupuy built for us.
yeah,
Ah.
that's where we learned to pour lentils and set table and
That's right.
that build the blocks or whatever those things
And
were.
that's where the Montessori school started. Mary
Right.
Montessori School started.
Because he didn't have enough people in that house, you had to bring more in, right?
Right. You
Right.
eat more out of that 1,100 square feet than most people.
Well,
Dad's
and
got a
then we
great-
got the girls' dorm when we added the addition to the house too, right? You remember the boys and the girls' dorm when we would come home from college?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bunk rooms.
Oh, well, that's their, Jim and Christy. They're talking about the first house.
They were talking about Roar had a
Oh,
basement.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bar was 3 bedrooms. The boys were in the master bedroom because we had to move out of the master bedroom. And you girls were in this second bedroom, and your mother and I have moved into the smallest bedroom in that house.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm sure was small with 1,100 square feet. But Dad tells a really great
Closet.
story of when they owned the farm of Grandma Newberry's. Do you remember that story?
Mayflower Farm?
Yeah.
Oh, when I owned it?
Yeah, when you and Mom owned it.
Yeah, well, your Grandma Newberry, for some reason, to her great regret, decided to give your mother the farm. And the Mayflower Farm, which your Uncle Leo lived on until he died. And because we weren't using it, we decided to rent out the house. And so your mother's best friend and first cousin was Mary Dupuy, A.D. Dupuy's sister. So we asked her to show people it to rent, which she did. but she showed it to some people, and then she they didn't rent it, but they came back and they went into the place, and we went up there and found them in there, and they were squatters, and we couldn't get it. We went to the sheriff and everything else, and we couldn't get them out legally without giving them a lot of notice and everything else. And so your mother was really mad at her cousin. But we finally got them out. But I never
Crazy.
was really shocked because I never knew people could do that. Because the sheriff says, well, you say they came in there and didn't sign anything or not, but if I go out there, they're going to tell me that they rented it from your cousin, and it'll be their word against yours and so forth. So,
But the lazy ass sheriff wouldn't even go out and ask them.
say again.
The lazy ass sheriff wouldn't even go out and ask them that. He just
No,
presumed they
because
said that.
he says that I've done that, and he had dealt with these people before, and they had done that before.
Oh.
But he says this is what's going to happen. You're going to have to give them notice, and a 30-day notice, and then because they haven't paid rent. And then after the 30 days, the court says you have to give them another 30 days to pay the rent. And after that, you can evict them with a 30-day notice.
Yeah, that's where the term squatters' rights comes from. They do have rights, which is really ridiculous.
Clever, but so Peshtigo, when we were renting out Grandma's house, and some of the people that were there to rent were just, they were a rough community.
Yeah.
Uncle Leo's farm was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
It was fun going out there.
Yeah, Uncle
All
Leo
the
was fun.
chickens and humongous snakes and outhouses and
The beehives.
Bees.
Yeah, the beehives, yeah. And Uncle Leo was fun. He was just really fun, and he loved his grandkids, or his grand nieces and nephews or whatever.
So was that your mom's brother? I mean, your mom's uncle?
Yeah, he would allow all of us to drive the tractor until Dave ran it into a tree, and then he said no more.
I didn't know that. That's great.
It was right before my turn.
Little bitter about that still, Bill?
Yep.
Laura,
Jenny
Grandma
and I
Newberry had a gazillion brothers and sisters. I think something like, how many, Dad? 17? 13? Grandma Newberry had how many brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I think there were 16.
16, and all of the boys
Bert?
ended in Bert, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the Bert part.
Yeah.
Okay, but
But-
that was Leo, you said. He
Yeah,
wasn't
but
a Bert.
his real name was Norbert.
Norbert, Robert.
Oh,
Well, there was Cuthbert and Norbert, Filbert, and
Yeah, Cubby was.
Filbert
Isn't
and
it?
Filbert.
Didn't a couple of the siblings die too?
wait.
yeah.
So I think altogether she had.
I don't
18
know how
pregnancies.
many ended up in Peshtigo. Maybe they all did. I don't know for sure. I know your grandpa Newberry actually came from
Nice.
where
What'd you do with your driver, Alice? Are you there?
on
Yeah, they
Highway,
stopped. They're
heading
using
on
that.
Highway 45. When you head west towards your cottage,
New
45 cuts off, and what's down there?
New London?
No.
Berlin?
Antigo.
No, going
Antigo?
north.
Go north.
Is it Antigo?
Oh, that's
Antigo.
south.
Antigo.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
Mom saying that he was from there.
Yeah. Didn't he get sucked out of the window by a tornado?
I heard he was carried a couple blocks is what I remember, that he was picked up and carried a block or so from a
Yeah,
tornado.
and then they had to
Yeah,
like
in
scrub the
Antigo.
mud out. He had so much mud embedded in his skin and they had to scrub him.
It took him a week to scrub him or something like that.
Oh, because of the tornado?
Yeah,
That was Grandpa, was it?
yeah, it was Grandpa Newberry.
And he was like a baby, right?
Yes.
What was Grandma Newberry's maiden name?
Archambault.
Archambault. And then there must be some Archambaults still left somewhere in the world.
Yeah, Bill, remember we saw him at the
Yeah,
church
they're,
thing?
yeah, go to Montreal.
No, to, what's it called? Downtown.
What?
Well, they were at a
Oh,
table
right.
at the Paris, what's the French thing they have down there? Bastille Days.
Yeah,
You didn't, there was an ancestry tent and you talked to them, didn't you?
yeah, yeah.
It's been a while.
That's
though.
Mary Dupuy,
Terry
right?
Dupuy was,
Terry-
they have this French society here about the French settlers in that settled Wisconsin, you know, and at Bastille Days downtown. And who's running the tent is Terry Dupuy.
Oh.
And I look at this ancestry, and it's like all the Dupuys and Chambos and it's the who sell on the the lake came in from Canada. All the French Canadians that came down.
You could probably find that on the internet. Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah, what had happened, it's at Bastille Days.
Mhm.
Yeah.
At Jackson Square, and Terry Dupuy did an extensive study of ancestry of the Dupuys and Archambaults, so much so that she would have an exhibit every year at Bastille Days.
Yeah, I walked out.
That's what we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one of the first Bastille Days, I'm like, oh my God, it's Terry. This is my mom's cousin who's running this tent, and it's all these names that I've heard of before, on this big lineage thing that you put up there,
When I was on the FASB, there was an advisor to one of our advisory committee, and one of the guys' names on it was Arch Archambault. And so I asked him, where are you from? And he said, well, the family's from northern Wisconsin. I said, well, we may be related. So we went through a little bit of discussion. Next meeting, he came back, yeah, we're related, like 2 cousins once removed or something or other, some craziness.
Yeah.
And what about the Albers? I mean, Aunt Seal was one, but did Grandma Alice have other ones?
Do you have the spoon back there of you?
Say again?
Did Grandma Alice have other siblings and your cousin, the Albers side? Where
Yes.
are those people?
Well, number one, in the beginning, they all lived in Menominee at the Aberdeen. Her parents owned the Aberdeen, and she was living at the Aberdeen when she graduated from high school. And then my grandma died. Grandma Albers died. My grandpa Albers died August. And then my grandma Ernestine Albers ran it, and she died about 1921 or 1922 when the place was sold, and then it was run by somebody else. And my dad bought it from them in 1931.
Wow.
When after he had married my mother, and he was working as a boiler engineer at the Prescott Foundry, which was across from the Aberdeen. And my mother Alice had Aunt Seal, sister, and 2 brothers, Larry and George. Seal married Bill Frankert from Menominee, and they moved to Milwaukee and have one daughter by the name of Seal, who you all met, Timmer.
Yeah.
And then my Uncle Larry moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he had 3 children, Larry, Terry, and Janet. And cousin Larry went into the Air Force and retired from the Air Force as a lieutenant colonel and went to work for University of Southern Mississippi, where Brett Favre graduated from,
Okay.
where he started the Department of Communication and also was the golf coach there in Hattiesburg. And his sister Janet also lived there, and his sister Terry lived in Mobile, Alabama. My Uncle George married a woman by the name of Mary, oh gosh, I can't think of the last name now. But they lived in Menominee, and they had 3 children, Don and Mary and Dolores. Don Albers, who went into the Marine Corps and retired as a gunny sergeant from the Marine Corps, and lives in Laguna Hills, California. And his older sister Mary is the one who died of tuberculosis that I told you about. And his sister Dolores lives in Lima, Ohio, or something like that. But my Uncle George also moved out to, after his wife died and his kids were grown, he moved out to Oklahoma also and died out there. So,
How did they come up with the Aberdeen? That's a cool name.
pardon?
How did they come up with the Aberdeen?
I
That's a cool name.
have never found the answer to that question. Nobody has been able to tell me that. Nobody knows that. I even asked my Aunt Seal when she was living, and she didn't know.
I like that name.
Is there a meaning to Aberdeen? I mean, does that word mean anything?
It's a city in
It's-
Washington State.
It's a city in England too.
Yeah.
In Scotland. Right?
Scotland, yeah.
Alice?
Yeah, Scotland.
Were
Yeah,
there a lot
it
of
is a city in
Scots in the
Scotland.
area in Menominee? Were there Scottish miners or anything?
I have no idea where it came from. It might have been Aberdeen before my grandparents owned it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not in Scotland, maybe it's in England.
I think the person who made it up drank too much that night and forgot.
Well, there's also a bull by the name of an Aberdeen bull, so maybe there was a bull in Menominee County that somebody says, "Oh, that's a good name." The name. Who knows?
We're talking bull, right?
Yeah.
There was a lot of bull going around.
Yeah, there's a lot of bull.
Bullshit.
So the Alberts were from Luxembourg?
My mother's parents were from Luxembourg on the Elschroth side. And
Elschroth?
Elschroth.
Okay.
And they were from Luxembourg, and the Albert side was from Hamburg, Germany, which is fairly close to Luxembourg. And my dad, the Linsmeyers, came from Fürth im Wald, Germany, which is northwest of Munich, Yeah, Fran and Tom are familiar with it because on our river cruise, we came very close to it. And my grandmother, Rose Pscheid, Psheid, also came from there. And I don't know where they got married, if they got married in Menominee or if they got married in Germany.
Because 23andMe analysis shows that we have way more French than we thought and less German in our heritage.
Well, that's because of Luxembourg, I'm sure.
Well,
'Cause that's-
and wasn't the Archambault, wasn't that a French Canadian?
Right.
Yeah, well, Archambault was French Canadian, right? And the Newberries came from England.
Yeah.
Well, although your mother's grandmother's name was O'Toole.
That's right. So Irish.
Irish.
In fact, I think, Bill, in your ancestry, there was a bit more Irish than we thought as well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, Grandma Newberry's mom was O'Toole, or Grandpa Newberry's mom was O'Toole?
Grandpa Newberry's.
That would make sense. So Dad, do you remember the story that Mom said that when you went to Quebec, to St. Anne, and you tried to talk to people and everyone sort of shuttered up?
Well, yeah, what happened is we were going in Montreal and Mark was with us on that trip. And so she knew of her ancestors or relatives from Montreal. So she called one.
You're so weird.
What was that?
Alice just muted, so you can't hear.
Yeah, it's Alice's background music. So
Oh,
she turned
okay.
it. Okay.
So we said, well, she wanted to visit it. So she called us one that she knew, and the woman, and told the woman who she was and that she was in Montreal. And the first thing the woman said to her was, "Speak French."
So you know what I found out subsequently?
She knew how to speak English, but she said, French is what we speak here.
Yeah, when I was in Montreal a couple summers ago, it was really bizarre because people would always, we were in a group and they would always come to me and start speaking French to me, to my face. And I'd go, "Je ne parle pas français," and they would go, "Oh." Every time they would come to me though.
So a friend of mine told
So we went to visit them. The French Canadians are very strange. So we went to visit them and we got to the house, knocked on the door, and they said, "Come in." We went to the door and they lived on an upper level. I think they owned their own house and rented out the lower level. So we got to the landing to the stairs and proceeded to have the only conversation with them from the bottom of the stairs, talking to them on top of the stairs.
Very warm and welcoming.
So, you know what I found out since then is that someone told me that particular time that you went there, there was huge, like almost a war about keeping English out of Montreal. And they just had this great disdain at that point because they wanted French to be like the local and national language. So anyone who spoke English was like banned in that time.
Yeah, that was an ongoing battle that they had in Canada for a long time.
Yeah.
And of course, Quebec and Montreal are the very most French part of Canada. And the English-speaking part of Canada wanted to make English the national language, and that's that's where the war thing came in on. The French Canadians were not about to let that happen. So,
well, it still continues. I'm on a board of directors of a Canadian company or entity, And there's a national law that you have to have signs in both English and French, except in Montreal, they don't do it.
Okay. Yeah, that,
And the French are always counting how much they're involved in everything.
The Canadian.
The Canadian French, yeah.
yeah.
They're just trying to.
Yeah,
maintain
and
their
I
heritage.
think the capital is also in the French part of the country.
Yeah,
Ottawa.
yeah.
So Dad, you got some story about how your family came over, right, on a ship, right? And one or two, you sent us a typewritten account of coming over on the boat, someone within the family, and that even a couple of the kids died afterwards. Did you get, where was that from? There was something written up.
Maybe it was on your mother's side that somebody had it. That would be something that Terry Dupuy would possibly have.
Okay, all right.
Because
Yeah.
I have nothing on my side.
They don't know that, you don't know the story of how or why they came or anything?
Well, I know they were part of the big, at that time, the beginning of the 1890s, huge migration of Germans came over. So they were part of that. I know that. And I did see my grandfather's naturalization papers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where he became a United States citizen. And part of that, even though he was from Germany, and the naturalization paper, he had to swear all allegiance to the Tsar of Austria. So apparently, Furthenwald could have been part of Austria at that time because all the borders are, in that area, were moving all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Dad, were we closest to the Furthenwald when we were in Regensburg?
Yes. Yes, we were about 40 miles away.
Yeah.
Is Terry Dupuy still alive? Do you know?
Yes, I believe she is. Her sister Mary that I was talking to, I just saw about a month ago. There was a notice in the Peshtigo Times obituaries that she had died.
That Mary died.
Yeah, Mary was same age as your mother, went to high school with your mother.
But she was survived by Terry.
Yeah, but Terry was the youngest one and quite a bit younger than the rest of the family.
Did it look like she still lives in Milwaukee?
I have no, they did mention in the obit that Terry, but they didn't say where she was.
I wonder if, 80 was older than Mom, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
A lot older.
Yeah. Yeah, he and his wife Mary ended up in the Catholic home here in Milwaukee when they died. And their son Larry, remember Larry was the youngest? It was Tom and Larry. Yeah, Larry is the legal counsel to the ACLU in Milwaukee.
Wow.
So he's in the paper every once in a while.
Any attention?
He was so late as a kid.
Did any of you know kids of the Dick Schimmel family from St. Joe's?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he just died.
Mute.
Wait, Dick Schimmel or George Schimmel? Dick Schimmel was.
Well, George was Marge's brother, and Dick Schimmel was Marge's cousin.
Oh, I don't know the Dick Schimmel family.
But they had 3 or 4 kids. I didn't know if you knew any of those kids.
How old were they?
How old were the kids? Well,
Yeah.
he was 92 or something like that. So they probably were, I'm sure those kids were at St. Joe's, some of you kids. Did you remember any
Not
Kimmel kids?
any of my
Anybody?
age.
I don't
Yeah.
remember that.
I was
Well,
friends with
you knew
George Schimmel's
George's-
daughter.
You know George's kids.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Fran, what's your favorite German food?
my favorite, I guess my favorite German food is Wiener Schnitzel,
Yes.
made with veal, not
And
chicken.
mom used to make really good spatzel. I don't know how she did it. Didn't Mary make spatzel like from scratch?
We used to get the bird's eye.
The bird's eye beans and, yeah, beans and spade.
Oh, okay.
But
Beans
I
and
also
spatzel?
like sauerbraten.
Sauerbraten, right?
Mhm.
And how about spare ribs and sauerkraut?
Oh,
Oh, stop
Yeah,
it.
that's good.
but I think spare ribs is made in a German style, but not specifically German.
Uh-huh.
I found German food is kind of bland.
I don't know.
That's
Would you-
my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Come back over.
Not a lot of German restaurants anymore, Paul.
No,
nope, there aren't.
Is Mater still there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mater's-
Yeah.
We
Bill
do.
and I went there last year before a Bucks game. It was actually, I was pleasantly surprised. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was good.
And I don't like German
They
food.
got
I got a
down
pork
for
cake
rats
that was
and all
this
kinds of
big with sauerkraut, and
It's really good.
it was enough for a family of 4.
They got shut down like a year ago for a couple of weeks for having rats and all kinds of other stuff. It's a pretty dirty restaurant.
Yeah.
Is that what the steak was made out of?
Yeah.
And
I
that's
was
why
with
my
Phil.
food tasted shitty there last year.
You know, sauerkraut covers a lot of ills.
No, sauerkraut and red cabbage. And
I love red cabbage. It's so good.
we have sauerbraten here with red cabbage and sauerkraut every once in a while.
Just think, we're gonna be able to do restaurants again soon.
Did you get your second
next
shot?
fall.
Did I get it? I didn't get any. Alice
No,
got
Dad,
it.
did you get your second?
Dad, he doesn't get it till Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Wednesday, Alice just got hers today.
I know.
Congratulations,
Second shot.
Alice.
Hopefully you don't get
Thanks.
sick from it, Alice.
I know, because we're going to Monterey, but you know what? They said it's the day after, the 2 days after that you get it, and we're coming back by then. So yeah.
Yeah, so you're hope. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
don't
heard
be
the
sick
older
at
you
it,
get,
Silmar.
the less the symptoms are. If you're older,
Really?
there's less symptoms.
Are you
Yeah,
on your way
well-
to Monterey, Alice?
Yeah, we're
I
going
was
to.
told,
Go ahead.
I was told by one of the people here is he's 30 years old, part of the staff, and he got his second last Tuesday. And the next 2 days, he usually sleeps about 7 hours a night. Between the 2 days, he slept for 27 hours.
Oh my
But he-
God.
But he said that he's in talking to people, he's finding out that young people have a more severe reaction to the second shot than old people do.
That's
I
right.
haven't talked to anybody here who got the second shot that are older that had any problems. So.
Really?
What do you
Yeah,
call young?
Yeah.
Well, well, you aren't young. He was,
Okay, good.
Oh, that hurt. That
Sorry,
hurt.
Bill.
Here, here's
Sorry.
a glass
It's the
of
only
water.
time that you don't want to be called young.
I'm really old, but not old enough to get a shot.
according
Yeah.
to AARP, you are all senior citizens.
Yeah, well, where's my vax?
Fran, you got
Too
a
young
shot,
to
but
get a
Tom, you haven't?
vaccination.
Tom, you haven't
Fran?
gotten one yet?
Fran had one. I'm going Wednesday to have my second one.
Excellent.
and Dad.
You and Dad are getting
same
your
day.
ones on the
I
same.
know. I wonder why Dad's going the same day I am. That's awkward. Are you getting a Moderna one? Is it a different vaccine? Is that why?
I'm getting the Moderna one, and
Yeah.
it's 4 weeks Moderna and 3 weeks for Pfizer. So
Pfizer.
that Alan's got Pfizer,
Yep.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's why we're having it the same day, Ash Wednesday, right?
Yep.
And
And
then
I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out dancing in a bar somewhere Wednesday night.
Fran,
gotta wait
take
2
some
weeks.
little time.
do
Yeah,
some
except
shots because you got a shot.
I'm just kidding. Tom is so upset. I can't make any vaccine jokes. It's
When
not
does
funny.
Tom, when do you get your first one?
I'm not eligible.
You're not on the list yet, even by teaching?
That's,
Well, Fran, on
That's-
March 3rd, we can get together and go out and celebrate because then we're fully immune.
Okay. That's good. We can come and go for a walk if it isn't 15 below zero.
No, we have to go for a walk and then go eat
Go to
at a
lunch.
restaurant and
Live it up.
Sit at
Live
the
it up.
bar. Dad will even be kissing the bartender.
Yeah.
You're looking
Take an Uber to a restaurant.
I was reading at that today that the Pfizer vaccine is they're saying is one that stops the spread. So in other words, I think that means you're not a carrier. If you
Oh,
have
did they
the
get that
Pfizer
information?
vaccine.
They've been waiting for that data. That's the kind I got was.
Yeah. Supposedly, we're carrier free for 90 days. In other words, we can't get infected, just like the people who have had COVID. But after 90 days, I guess you can become asymptomatically infected and then carry it according to the what's been published so far. But they don't know that much about it.
And they
No,
say
they're still guessing, I think.
90 days is
Well,
not very
four
long.
people got it. 4 people got COVID after their second shot.
How long did they wait
Take it
afterwards?
It was more than 2 weeks.
Days, Dad.
They were asymptomatic.
and the people that have COVID now, they said it was 90 days immunity, and now they're saying it's up to a year.
Yeah, they don't really.
Oh, really?
Right?
So I think they'll do the same with the vaccination, as it's
Well,
just,
I think, it was 90 days, and you will be immune except do they say you can't even get it and be asymptomatic? Is that what they're saying up to a year?
oh, I don't
Because
know.
they
Well,
were,
That's what they were saying, that won't spread transmission, which I think means that you can't carry it, but I'm not sure.
yeah.
I don't know, everything, it always seems to get better than what they first say it was. Remember when we were told it could live on stainless steel for 3 weeks? And it could live on packages and,
Yeah, well, they're still doing a lot of research on all that stuff.
Right.
They don't have, the problem is they don't have enough time to do that type of research with these variants that are coming through and everything else. They're still concentrating on stopping the infection initially, so. Stay tuned,
So, Dad, do you
there'll be a
remember-
lot more.
Do you remember anything about flu? I know it was before your time, but did they still talk about it when you were younger or anything? The Spanish flu?
Spanish flu?
The Spanish flu, did they talk about it even after it was over? I know it was before your time, but were people talking about the Spanish flu when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah, you mean, the last flu epidemic? Yeah, definitely. Because my parents' age had parents and relatives and even brothers and sisters who got the flu.
Wow. So they were they still were conscious of the Spanish flu when you were a kid,
Oh,
huh?
yeah. Yeah, there was the
Yeah.
so-and-so died of the flu.
Yeah.
500,000 people died, and that was at a time when the country was much smaller in population. you know?
Yeah.
So 500,000 was a big
Huge
number.
impact.
Yeah.
Yep. Huge
And they didn't
percentage.
they didn't get a vaccine or anything for a long time.
Yeah.
Did you
I mean,
Did you read that story of how they got the vaccine finally? That they went
No.
up to Alaska where they had tribal burial grounds that were undisturbed under the ice. And the guy who was studying, I think out of Chicago, went up there and got a sample from one of the people who had died like decades prior. But because it was under the permafrost, they were able to bring that sample back refrigerated in order to come up with the vaccine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have to get vaccinated more than once? Like flu now?
I don't
well,
know.
you know, by the time I was aware of everything, flu, you just got vaccinated once. I mean, just the flu shot that you get every year. Oh, annually. Yeah, you had to do it annually because
Yeah.
the reason you get a flu shot annually because it changes.
Right.
Different strains.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you take a flu shot, it's a different type of flu. So we had to adjust the vaccine for the flu that was coming this year.
You guys have a question?
In other words, the flu shot you get every year isn't the exact formula that it was the year before. But they were always able to adjust it because people in Australia and so forth got it first because of the change in the seasons. And then we here knew what was coming.
Wow.
But it's amazing. I was just heard again today. I didn't read it. Alluded to the number of flu cases this year is way down.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
That's because everybody's wearing masks.
That's due to the fact that so many people are wearing masks.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
We gotta go. We love you all. Happy
All right.
Valentine's Day.
Happy
guys.
Valentine's Day.
Love you
See you, Tom
guys.
and Fran.
Take
Happy
care. Don't
So-
eat too much chocolate.
Bye, Tom. Bye, Fran.
Bye,
Bye.
Jim.
Nice to
Bye,
see
guys.
Bye,
I
guys.
love you guys.
Bye.
So, Dad, here's a question from the car here. Did you ever get in trouble at school?
That's top secret.
Of course he didn't.
It's the
I
records are
almost-
sealed, huh?
I was, one thing, I was almost responsible for our whole senior class taking the final exams
Why?
because they always had, we got a new principal and we always had a senior skip day. And so I was one of the organizers for ours. And the new principal hauled me and another guy in and said, if you guys have your senior skip day, you're going to have a final exam day.
No.
So, what did you do? Did you
That
go
was a
skip?
no-brainer.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
That's a no-brainer.
It was a no-brainer what to do.
Yeah.
Oh.
Senior skip day isn't worth all that.
That's right.
Senior skip day.
That's when seniors skip out of school altogether on Monday. So, yep.
How long were you going out with Mom before you guys got married?
How long? Let's see.
You guys.
Met her in the fall of 1954 and got married in August of 1955.
So,
less than a year.
Yeah, about a year because maybe I met her in the summer, but it was right around in there.
no, now I want a piece of chocolate.
maybe I met her. I met her, maybe it was in August that I met her, and then we got married August a year later. So it was about a year.
Okay.
So do I remember correctly, Mom saying that you went out on a date and then you ended up carpooling back to Marinette Menominee like shortly after that? Is that right?
No, what happened is that we had been dating in Milwaukee, and we both were going home, myself to Menominee and her to Peshtigo. And what happened is my buddies from Menominee fixed me up with a blind date, and then
Right.
told me who it was. And I went to pick up my blind date, and it was your mother.
And you had
Boy,
already
Boy, I
carpooled by
just
then?
dropped off from driving to Peshtigo.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great.
It was a seeing blind date.
Yeah.
Up
So
to
you were
seeing.
in the carpool before you were dating, and then they set you up on a blind date right after that carpool.
Well, we actually had dated. They didn't know that. They were in Menominee. They had no idea what I was doing.
Oh.
But as soon as they told me who my blind date was, of course I knew who it was. And then I told that. Then we went to the party that they were having, and we told them what happened.
Oh,
They said they had set me up with a girl.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And it was set up. It was set up by a girl that I was dating prior to meeting your mother. Her name was Bev Gasper,
Oh, funny.
and she knew your mother. So, and then we stopped dating, and then she sent me. She set up the blind date because she was a Menominee and knew your mother. So.
It sounds like the
Course, your
Pina
mother-
Colada song to me.
Yeah.
Did mom know that it was that was you that was on the blind date, or?
I guess we didn't, not when I dropped her off, but after she talked to Bev, after she was home, but she didn't say anything either, so.
Okay.
And that was the first time I met your grandmother, who was very unhappy because your mother was dating a German.
It's a mixed marriage for sure.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
You got to preview your blind date, huh?
Yeah.
Did she get over your Germanness very easily, or was that something she held against you forever?
She never said much about it after that, too much after that. So.
Discrimination.
Yeah. Turns out the German had some French in him too.
Yeah, right, right.
So
Is that romance?
I
Is that
didn't
what
ever
you're talking
talk
about?
to your grandmother directly. Your mother told me that. Because your mother was very unhappy, period, because her goal in life was always to have your mother come home and live with her.
yeah. Yep.
And that hadn't happened, and then she turned around and married a German on top of that. I mean,
Well, she got the next best thing is the boy across the river.
Such a disappointment.
What lengths won't you go to?
Now, did Mom say also that there was an article in the Peshtigo News saying that she was the living proof that women who go to college don't get married? Is that right, Dad?
Yeah, I don't. that came, I don't know, yeah, she did say that, but I don't know if it was in the Pacific Times or not, but yeah, that was said. Now, I don't know if it was in the paper or what, but yeah.
I think she said she and one other woman from town were proof because they were out of college and they hadn't gotten married yet. So that just
It
showed
was
you.
Mary Ann Garden, who I see in the Pacifico Times just died, and her family owned the Pacifico Times.
Oh, really?
So her parents weren't happy about it. They run the article.
Check the GPS.
Yeah, that's a way to get back at her.
Yeah.
Well, the Peshtigo Times used to have all those articles of like Martha Newberry was visited by her daughter and son-in-law and their children last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
God.
That's what sold paper.
Column.
Yeah.
That was a very good business move because that's what sold papers.
Right. Everybody wanted to know.
You were like the People magazine of Peshtigo. Did they bold your names when they mention you?
Everybody was a celebrity if they went.
And this lady keeps writing.
Yeah, used to be able to go up to Menominee with grandma and the girls, have dinner, and then go home and look at the obits.
Oh, right. That's right. Yep.
That was a Saturday or Friday or Saturday night out for them,
Yeah. See what they were doing on the weekend, right?
Yeah. Dinner and obituaries.
Patty, do you remember when we went to visit Grandma Linsmeyer and we surprised her one morning early? And she was on the phone with someone and she was like, oh, come in. It was really early. I don't know why we left so early to go there, but she was on the phone with someone and she goes, oh, well, thank you so much for the invitation, but I just had some real good news. I have my granddaughters here visiting, so I'm sorry I'm going to miss the party. And then she hung up and she said, oh, that was a doctor in town and he died and my friends were inviting me out. And then this is like 9 in the morning or something. And then she goes, you girls want a slush?
Why not?
You heard about it. Did you hear the story that her sister Seal wouldn't let her answer the telephone when they would play cards together?
I remember that one. Yep. When Uncle Dick and Aunt Susan called instead of her sister, right?
Well, what she would do, she'd run to the phone and answer the phone for her sister and answer it with Seal's Whorehouse.
Which one would you like? She said, Seal's Whorehouse. Which one would you like?
And as Seal was very proper, and she would.
Grandma Linsmeyer was so much fun.
Yeah. Was she fun when you were little? I know she was strict too, Dad, but was she also fun?
Well, a mixture of fun and very strict. Very strict.
Well, it's unusual to be really strict.
My time to come in was at 10 o'clock, and I came in at 2 minutes after 10, I would be grounded.
Wow.
One time I was grounded for 6 weeks.
For coming home late?
No.
What'd you do for that one?
Start fessing up.
Uh-oh, he doesn't want to say.
What it was for is I didn't do my homework and I got a D in math in 8th grade.
Oh,
whoa.
And at 6 weeks at 8th grade, that's brutal.
And
Yeah, no kidding.
my cousin Seal came to town to visit, not us. She was staying at her grandmother's, and I couldn't even go over and visit her.
Oh, wow. Serious. Last time you missed a homework assignment, huh?
Yeah. So I learned to do my homework.
Yeah, good. It works.
Yeah, What's your question?
Ask him how long the longest time he's been grounded.
So Javier wanted to know what's the longest time you've been grounded?
6 weeks.
Yeah.
That was it.
2 months.
That's a long
That was
time.
the one.
But what?
He said that's almost like 2 months. He didn't turn in his homework and he got a D in math, and so she grounded him for 6 weeks.
Oh my God, indeed.
I remember when Dad used to say that he walked to school in the snow for 10 miles or whatever every day.
And then we
or-
found out it was across the street or whatever.
Exactly. When we went and I saw it was like across the street, I was so mad.
I was thinking of it today, you know, we used to get more snow then, and Epiphany School was further away. Yeah, I don't know if you remember where the Epiphany Church was, but
The
that
Catholic
was, yes, Catholic school. And we used to have snowbanks at every, you know, along the sidewalks and everything. They were high enough and wide enough that I could walk home or to school just on top of snowbanks.
Wow.
Pure joy. Remember how much fun it was to be on top of a snowbank? That was so fun.
Think of
Yeah,
the mountain.
Except for when your shoe suddenly goes through.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
well, we always,
Comes off.
the biggest thing was when I was young is to be able to wear my high tops
Oh,
when it got
Like-
cold and snowy. That was
So-
a big deal. Have a
high
pair
top
of
tennis shoes?
Huh?
High top
Yeah.
tennis shoes?
No, the high tops was a shoe that the top came to just below your knees.
Ah.
Oh,
It's like
a little
shoe.
different definition of high tops.
Yeah.
And of course, they were lace, so it took you a while to get them on.
Remember the girls used to have boots and then we went up to shoe boots and those would go all the way up to your knee. That was cool. But right now we have so much snow here, Alice, that like there's the way for Tara to go out is like a habit trail. It's like a banked little, so we don't even have to watch her. She can't wander because the snow is so tall that she's
Wow.
self-contained. It's like a playpen with a habit trail.
It's a maze, Patty.
And it's so cold that you can't leave them out for more than like 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of hoping that
Well, we're-
could, that could be one of the ways she goes.
You don't want to find her stiff though, Patty.
I'm going to find her stiff one of these days somewhere. So it's just a matter of where.
Popsicle.
Yeah.
I guess we're supposed to get 3 to 6 inches overnight over Monday night again.
What?
Wow.
Good thing it's not Tuesday night
Yeah,
because
What's
he's going
going-
to get down for a shot on Wednesday. Is it, are you in the morning again?
10:30 in the morning.
I didn't think we were getting more snow until Thursday.
I didn't hear anything about that snow coming.
Me neither. I'm gonna look now.
Uh,
I'm gonna fact check you.
Did I tell you about my experience with the tri-state going down the last time?
It was all open, right?
Yeah, that the toll booths were closed.
What was closed?
Toll booths.
Oh, yeah.
So I told you about that.
You'll get your tickets in the mail.
That I went in because they still had the big sign, and all of a sudden I found myself all by myself, and there was nobody. There were 3 lanes open, but nobody in the toll booths. And it had a sign, go through at least 15 miles an hour. And so I did that and got off at Buckley Road, where they only have one of those toll stands where you pay your toll when you come out. And I got out my 90 cents cash, and they had the cash box taped shut.
Ah.
And so I left and I said, what the hell's going on? So when I came back, I took 41 because I wasn't going to go through that again. And then I was told you had to go on the internet to pay with a credit card.
Yep. Yep. They closed the tolls. It's too COVID mixy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're saving money, you know, and I found out it cost me $280 for the Waukegan toll booth. If I would have had an iPass, it would have been $180.
Do you have an iPass?
Yeah.
No, I don't have an iPass because I don't go down there enough. I understand
I
you have to
have
pay.
one.
Yeah, Jim can run you one over. I'd run it over. It's a little farther, but Jim,
Yeah, I have one. We all have one. You just
Yep, I
take it,
have
throw it in
one
the
too.
car, and away you go. You know.
Yeah, if I were traveling and anticipating going down there again, I get one. Would it cost about $15 for a transponder?
No, you don't.
It doesn't cost anything. You just have to load some money on it. I used to like drive down to Chicago all the time, and I would never stop at the toll booths, and I would just use my phone and take a picture of all the toll plazas that I go through, and then I would, when I got back to work, I would have somebody go online and pay them, and that's when somebody who worked for me said, "You're getting an iPass. That's enough."
I think the last time I paid like $15 for the transponders.
Oh, you did?
Okay.
Yeah, they
that's what
switched
I
them
heard.
over to a new transponder. But so I had an old one, and then just a couple years ago, they switched to a new one. And I had to pay like $15 or something for the transponders, but
Yeah,
you can make that up, and the difference in the tolls pretty quick if you go down there at all.
Yeah,
Are you
it's
going down there on Wednesday, Dad?
Yeah, Dad is.
Yeah, if you're going down on Wednesday, I'll run you over mine.
Well, I'll just go 41. 41 is fine. It's just not worth the. I got back to the Wisconsin line as fast on 41 as if I had taken a tri-state, because you have to go quite a bit west to tri-state from Great Lakes, and 41 is right almost at Great Lakes. So in 41
Yeah, you're
is
just going over the line pretty much. You're not really driving very far in Illinois either, right?
yeah. So 41 is fine. It's got a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. It's 2 lanes in each direction. It's got lights about every mile, but it's timed pretty good. I probably had to stop twice for lights. So
People drive pretty fast on that too.
Yeah, you can. People are going a lot. They're going 5 to 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. So you're almost up to the speed limit of the tri-state, which is 65.
Yeah.
So it's not worth it. Probably if I were going to go all the way down to what's the one that comes across there? The freeway that runs
90?
in. Huh?
Highway 90?
No, there's the spur, one of the first ones that right at Deerfield that goes off to the east. And
You mean the Edens?
Edens.
Yeah.
If I were going down there, I think it probably 41's more congested when you get to Lake Forest and Deerfield and all those places. So
But you really
It
don't
sounded
hit the tolls going 41?
say again?
You don't hit the tolls going 41?
No, there's no tolls on 41.
Oh, okay.
I'm watching Alice bounce up and down, thinking you could use some tolls in California, maybe smooth
Yeah.
out.
Fix these roads here.
It
Well, you
looks
guys
like
sound
you've got a big warm coat on, Alice. You look like you belong here.
Yeah, I got like this fuzzy thing on. I don't really need it, but it's fuzzy. So
Nice.
I see the green
It's
trees as
comfy.
you go by.
here's a question I have for my kids, for you, Dad. Without any electronic devices, what did you do as a kid to stay entertained?
Oh, we used to, we would go outside in the summertime and disappear and come back at night and
Go off in the creeks?
It's edited for content.
We can't hear you, Dad.
Yeah, edited for content.
It's a little blue for the audience.
all kinds of games in the street until it got dark. Yeah, we didn't have any problem finding something to do. And all the kids in the neighborhood were there playing.
Yep. It's playing in the street and
Yeah,
games and stuff.
we
Oh, no.
go down to the bayfront and ride our bikes all over the place.
Yeah.
Actually, we were more outside playing than the kids today are, because the
Yeah.
kids today can't play in the streets.
Right, right. Yeah.
They can't even find a way to get anywhere without a phone GPS.
Right. So yeah, we used to have all kinds of stuff to do. So
Yep.
and
You
then
only
we
came
put-
in when your mom was yelling and it was dinner time, huh?
Pardon?
You only came in when your mom was yelling and it was dinner time, huh?
Yeah, dinner time, and then we go outside until it was dark and come back in. So
Tell Javier they
Yeah.
have firearms though. Go out in the woods with a BB gun, right?
and then we for other entertainment we listen to the radio every night.
Oh, right, right.
And weekends. And it was kind of fun because you had to use your imagination, and it sometimes is better than watching a TV show.
That reminds me of us listening to the symphony. Remember, every once in a while, you'd let us sleep in the
Living room
living room and listen to the symphony.
at the pull-out couches.
Yeah, and
That was magical. That was really fun.
On the stereo with the two brown speakers,
With the little
right?
box
Yeah, to tune
stereo
it in.
yeah.
on the shelf that Dad still has in his. Wait, do you have that? No, Mark has that shelf right now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a classic entertainment center.
yeah, variety unit, it was used to be called.
I remember the smell of when you pulled out the drawer that had either I think the house plans were in there or the bills or something, and then you close it. It smelled so good.
No, I would have heard it.
What did you keep in that top drawer? What was it? There was something magical you kept in that top drawer. Was it your bills?
Well, back then, I think we had albums in there, or maybe, no, it was in that shelf unit up
The
above.
upper, yeah.
Yeah, that's where
It was
I
the
don't
top
yeah,
drawer. There was
that-
something really important.
Probably had bills, that was kind of used as a desk type thing too, yeah. In fact, I used that as a desk when I was in the apartment at Menominee Falls.
Yep.
And of course, it was always, they had the TV set in there.
Yeah.
TV sets were small enough to get in there in those days.
Now they're getting bigger and bigger. That's for sure.
It was harder because that would stay on for so long.
You're kind of garbling. You said that something would stay on for so long, but I couldn't hear what.
It's hard to speak and watch the.
You're cutting
And
it out.
Yeah, Alice is cutting out. Yeah, she's frozen too.
Yep.
That's why she's wearing the big fuzzy sweater.
Well, I got to cut out and get dinner started.
Okay, well, my dinner's on the shelf outside, so.
Okay.
Okay.
I gotta go
All
as
right,
well.
love you guys.
Well, good
Okay,
to
love
see you all. Happy
everyone.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's
Yeah.
Day.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for all the
Love you
stories,
all.
Dad.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for the stories.
Love you guys.
I love you guys.